So mean.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah, we got one of those clowns coming in and, hey, wasn't this episode already on the podcast? Yeah, it was already on the podcast because the Murder Sheet, they've done a podcast, but they gave us permission to play their podcast on our show and then go over it as it's being played. The podcast doesn't do that, right? It just has it being played. But we always had, like, even in the comments, hey, they already did this. Why are you getting... Look, I don't know. They gave us permission. We're doing it because we think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and also not everybody listens to podcasts and not everybody subscribed to different podcasts. So this is a good way to get their name out there and get information because you've been covering this case forever and I just became interested in it. So that's why. Yeah,
and we want to. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's sort of weird when you're doing a show, you can do what you want. If you don't like it, then go. You know, here's what I would do, though. I'd actually would go and follow their podcast, The Murder Sheet, because they're the ones that created all this. They're actually, in just a short amount of time, have put out more information for the people to look at regarding the Anthony shots or the investigation than in 5 years. I mean, all we've had in 5 years, this is all we've got from law enforcement in 5 years. A video, the little audio clip. Can you identify? We need to know who the driver of the vehicle that was parked at the abandoned CPS building was between 12 and 5. And 2 sketches. That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Okay, you guys? So the rest of us have put all the pieces together, you know, mapping out where all the different locations and all that. But right now, there's a ton of information that's come out. Oh, look at that. Wow. What is that?
Fresh. He was eating my crock. I'm sorry. I had to get off screen for a second. He is an American bully, and he's bad so far.
Yeah. Well, sorry about your other dog. That's
yeah. Jace begged and begged and begged for 2 solid days, and I kept saying no. And then we surprised him with this guy.
Oh, that's a new dog. I wasn't sure if it was just one of your other 600. So you got it. Yeah.
He got here last night. Wow, yesterday afternoon.
Nice. Wow.
He's something else altogether, this fellow.
He's got huge paws.
Yeah, see? He's 10 weeks.
Was it free?
Yeah, everything in life is free, Craig.
Yeah.
Be nice, please. I have a podcast to do, okay? Now get down there.
All right, so we're going to donate. We $220 we have left to be able to donate from the first quarter. So let me, we're going to send it to Texas Equisearch. What's going on, Blue, Chloe?
Blue's like, wait a minute. They're showing that dog. I want to be shown. What the heck?
All right, so there you go, 220. And I'm going to move it off of here just so I don't know what kind of stuff it has me do. But let me see. I have to put my password in now, so that was a good thing. So let's see. What is this one again?
Now you need a bath. What were you doing? Get out of there. Be an easy puppy, okay?
Just a second. I think I can do this part on the screen. Yeah, so there, well, just, I don't know what happens when you click on, I always forget. All right, so there we go. It says, thanks for donating $220 to Texas Equisearch. All right, and then I can't go to my email to show you the receipt coming in because I'm logged into the So Mean account, and that one goes through the other one. But you just saw it on the screen right there, right? There it is, and oh, geez.
Definitely a great, left the screen. Great place.
Yeah, they're awesome. Just a second, let me, so it's awesome. We are up to, let me update the number over here really quick. Live. and then we'll get right on to the topic. Now, I know it's for the people, how come you already started the topic? Yeah, we just didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? It's weird how that works. It's really crazy.
Have people in the comments been bugging you, Gray?
Well, they really do.
Who do I need to beat up?
People are just, I mean, I actually go back and read some of these people, and they're just morons, okay? Let me see.
Sometimes it can be rough.
Yeah, it's just weird, strange, you know. One guy, last night, he was, on my other, the show that I did last night, he said something about, well, don't you know the cops were lying to Kegan when they said that he communicated with her on that first day? And I go, I don't know, man. And he just kept going back and forth. And then he types, you called me everything but the N-word or something. I wasn't even close to saying anything like that. I might have said, well, that's an idiotic comment, you know. And then I just said, I just blocked the idiot. I mean, it was just,
I'm like, are you
new
unreal?
Here, yeah. God, wow.
Get him, Gray. These people, I don't know. I don't know. People are wild. I tell you what, they're wild.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. 4:30. Boom. That's pretty good. We're already at 4:30. You know, we could do a couple thousand, maybe 1,500 this year. That'd be pretty sweet. All right. So here we go, everybody. We're gonna play the episode number 2. It's actually called The Delphi Murders. Who is Tony Klein? Part 2. This was on the Murder Sheet podcast. They gave us permission to do this, so you can't just go play it without getting their permission. Okay? That's one of the things out there that a lot of people, it's not, they think everything's fair use as long as you play the whole thing and then start talking about it. We're actually going to play it. You know, you play it, you talk about it, play it. We don't even have to do that. We could literally play the whole thing and talk about it because they gave us permission to play it. Right. But we probably want to pause it here and there to have comments, all right? So you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go.
Content warning.
I might move it forward.
Emily Ann. That account was linked to child sexual...
Okay, let me go to about here.
On a previous episode of The Murder Sheet, we heard from Bart, Tony Klein's former stepson, and Kegan Kline's half-brother.
That's a good recap right there.
Bart described the violence he experienced growing up in a household led by Tony Klein. Now it's time to hear from Bart's younger sister. This woman is Kegan Kline's older half-sister. She once was Tony Klein's stepdaughter. We're going to call her Gwen in this episode. That's not her real name. She's coming forward because she has a story to share. It's a chilling story of the pain and anguish a man can inflict on his own family.
This isn't the first time that we've heard about a stepdaughter or stepsister in this case. Court documents reveal that Kegan Kline established an account labeled Emily Ann. That account was linked to child sexual abuse materials and lewd, horrifying chats about underage victims. That account also contained writings about how Emily Ann was Kegan's stepsister and that she was having sex with his father. Emily Ann appears to have been a figment of the account creator's sick imagination. Gwen is not named Emily Ann. Not even close. And she told us she was never sexually abused by Tony Klein.
Well, and also the Emily Ann account was connected to the Dropbox account. And they were actually sending pornographic videos to the Emily Ann account to be shared. Because remember how it was used to send to other girls, like, hey, here's a picture of this, so that they would be comfortable and send pictures back.
Well, I had a question too. What do you think now? Because I'm just realizing what he just said, that Emily Ann said that they were Anthony's stepsister, but that they were having sex with the dad. So would that be a fantasy of Kegan's or a fantasy of Tony's? Why would Kegan?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is whoever's using the Anthony Shots account is trying to sort of normalize, hey, let's have, maybe having sex with this older guy at some point. right?
Mm-hmm. Right. But why wouldn't she say she was having sex with her stepbrother instead of saying she's having sex with the dad?
Because
unless the dad was somehow involved.
Right. That's exactly right. See, I think the dad could be the one that's communicating, trying to, hey, you know, I'm this age and I'm having sex with my stepdad. How do you want to have sex with my stepdad too? That's what it's sort of like. And then, but it's really him, and then he's trying to get connected up with the this little young girl, you know, as an adult. It's really kind of sick. You know? I mean,
animal. Yeah. Ugh.
All right, let's keep going.
But the memories she shared with us were disturbing, nonetheless.
We agreed to keep Gwen anonymous because we want to protect her privacy. She wants to share her story, but she does not want people tracking her down. So while we get that it's tempting to sleuth as much as possible in the Delphi case, we ask all our listeners to please respect her wishes. Instead of using the audio recording from our talk with Gwen, we're going to read from a transcript of our interview with her. We've only lightly edited this in a few parts for clarity. Otherwise, it's the whole story in Gwen's own words as we heard them.
So they're going to read, play the parts.
My name is Anya Kane.
And I'm Kevin Greenlee.
And this is The Murder Sheet, a weekly true crime podcast.
Anya and I connected over the Burger Chef murders, a 1978 unsolved case involving the killings of 4 young restaurant employees. We don't just rely on skimming the headlines. We dive into these cases to bring you in-depth coverage.
We're The Murder Sheet, and this is The Delphi Murders. Who is Tony Klein? Part 2.
And now, The Murder Sheet. Yeah, make sure to follow it on all the different platforms. They're really good. They got good music, too. They got it all.
I really like them a lot. They're good.
The thing is with it, if I'm trying to be anonymous, the minute people hear my voice, they're going to know in my real life. Because this is real life for us. They're going to find out. So I was hoping just to tell my side or answer your guys' questions and somehow stay anonymous. And then the people who are following all of this, and everyone, those people in my real life will put it together 2 and 2, that this is Gwen. And then everyone else that's not immediate family can just have the information. I want to speak up. I want to tell people how Tony is. But I don't want to be the only one doing it, and then all my family hating me for speaking out. But then, the minute I found out my brother was doing it, I told my mom, I said, I'm doing it.
We want you to feel empowered with this, and not like we're just pushing you.
That's just what I'm hoping this will result to, is other people, if they've had encounters with Tony or Kegan under the Emily Ann account, or the Tony Shots, or Anthony Shots, or any of the other fake Instagram accounts. I'm hoping just with my brother and I coming forward, it opens up and encourages other people to come forward if they're terrified. I'm just hoping that's what gets out of this, and consequences are being served for Tony and Kegan.
So, to go back to the beginning, tell us about how you knew Tony Klein, how he came into your life.
My mom married him when, I'm not sure what age I was, but I was little. I had been probably 2, I would assume, my age, and that's how he became in our life as my mom married him. I'm not sure how she met him. I don't know those details.
What are your early memories of him?
Living in the white Peru house, I had to have been 4, and him abusing us. He'd smile at you, normal, and then you would blink and he would be a totally different person.
How would the abuse manifest itself? Was it physical?
Yes, it was. I didn't know this until all this came out, and I found out that he had punched me in the face when I was 4 and gave me a black eye. And so I asked my mom about that today, and she said it was over a Tupperware party Tony's mother was having, and we wanted to go to it. My mom wanted to go to it, and she wanted to take me with her. And Tony did not like that. And he punched me in the face, gave me a black eye, and then beat my mom over that situation.
Jesus, a 4-year-old little girl.
Yes, and actually just something came over me yesterday. I found a picture of myself holding Kegan as a baby, and in that picture, I am actually healing from that black eye that he gave me.
Oh my God. And that violence, that continued throughout your childhood, as I understand it?
Yes. The incident with my brother in the toilet, I remember just sitting outside that bathroom with my hands over my ears, just trying to be as invisible as possible, because I didn't want his rage to then come to me, and he'd beat my mom that time, in that moment, when that toilet hole thing happened. And I guess that my mom was in the middle of actually cooking dinner, and Tony didn't like what she was cooking, so he forced my mom's hands inside the oven and scalded her hands. And I remember police always coming to the house, but they would always just tell him. He would say, "Oh, I just didn't take my medicine, and I'll make sure I take it." And they would just say, "Tony, you can't be doing this shit." And pretty much just tell him to knock it off, and they would leave.
His medicine? Did he have some sort of condition?
Bipolar. I always just knew he said he was bipolar, and he needed to be on his bipolar medicines. But that was always just a ploy for being able to get away with, I guess, abusing us.
Yeah, I think it's just a load of crap. And plus, if you don't take your medicine and you know you can be like that, that's just you, like, basically putting having a loaded gun and just, roulette, basically. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
For sure, depending on how your condition affects you. I mean, some people can go without their medicine, but not for very long. Sounds like this guy knew, if I don't take it, all this bad stuff's going to happen, but I'm not going to take it anyway. Who in God's name punches a 4-year-old girl and gives them a black eye over a Tupperware party?
Yeah, and also, why wasn't he put in prison for like 10 years minimum? I mean, it's like, it's just, that part's even crazier.
Does he know the police in the area? That's what I was thinking. Does he know the Peru police? Was he friendly with them? Is there some kind of connection there? What kind of police would come to the house after, all of these domestic violence incidents?
And I don't even know if he, he's probably like this even when he's on medicine. Here's the thing is, I don't know if that's really, I mean, what he's doing, is that part of a bipolar situation?
Or is it even true? Is he even bipolar?
Maybe.
Or is that just something he said that he was as an excuse? I'm sorry, I'm not on my medicine. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think the police didn't take this really horrific abuse more seriously?
Maybe child abuse is just so common. They aren't going to arrest someone every time they get a call out to the house. And not that I want to put any speculations out there, but maybe he had people in law enforcement that he could manipulate, or they just knew and just turned a blind eye to us.
Do you know if Tony did have any friends in local law enforcement, and who they were if he did?
I have no answer to that. I don't know. I don't know. He could. He couldn't. I don't know, because I had left and I pretty much ran. I ran from here for as long as I could, just from everything I dealt with growing up.
What was it like growing up in that sort of household, with such fear and violence being a part of your life?
Terrifying. You never knew. There were times that I could just huff wrong and he would beat the living shit out of me.
Did teachers or people on the outside seem to have any sense that something was wrong?
I would think so, with some of the times the way we would go to school. And it affected my schoolwork. I know people knew. I just don't think anyone knew how to stop it or help us in a way.
It almost sounds like I don't know. I'm so sorry that you and your family went through this. You mentioned he could smile and had this other side to his personality. Was that a calculated thing where that's what he put out to the world and then he was very abusive at home? Or did that violence spill outside? I guess I'm trying to get a sense of what kind of face he projected to the world.
I remember this specific time. We had our neighbors over, and we're having an outdoor dinner at his outdoor table, and food was served, placed on the table. I had sat down at the head of the table in his chair, just as a joke, and he had asked me to get up out of his chair, and I said, "Make me." And he flipped that whole entire table onto me, just in front of everyone. And everyone's like, "Are you kidding me, Tony? You can't do this. You cannot act like this." And people would just tell him, "Don't act like that," but then go minding their own business when everyone knew he was every day beating me and my mom and Bart. And Kegan never got a hand laid on him.
Out of the three of you, your mom, Bart, and yourself, would he target any one of you, or was it he was doing it to all of you pretty equally?
My brother has his own memories about growing up. I would consider my mom and me getting the most out of it. My mom mainly, and then me because I'm a girl. I was a small child, and I couldn't really stand up for myself. And when I did, he knew he was more powerful than me, so he easily knew he could take me on if I looked wrong at him or stepped wrong towards them, anything.
With your dad, did he know about this? How did he feel about this abuse that was going on?
I would imagine that. I mean, he obviously didn't like it, and it actually got to a point when I turned 13, I told my mom I could not live with her any longer, and I could not live around Tony, and I had to leave. So I actually left my mom, and I went and lived with my dad the rest of my time until I was 18. And that then, I guess, when you grow up in such a traumatic household, you and your siblings get separated, and I never really remember having a relationship with Bart or my mom after leaving, other than the few weekends I would maybe go to my mom's for that weekend.
If I may ask, are those relationships closer now that some time has passed, or?
Yes, I speak to my mom every day, and my brother. My older brother and I, Bart and I, have a great relationship.
I'm so happy to hear that. I really am. This situation, living with Tony, growing up with Tony, just sounds like an abject nightmare. When we're talking with Bart, we're talking with you, that's what we're just getting, that this is a very, very violent person.
He really is. He is a textbook sociopath.
What else would he do that would give you that impression?
We had ended up moving from Peru to Young America, the Brown House. That's what we called it growing up. And not sure how old I was, but had to be probably 9 to 13. He was out in the backyard with a BB gun in his hand, and he looked at me and said, "Start running. I'm going to shoot you." And I said, "No, you're not." And he said, "I'm going to give you 5 seconds to get a head start." And he pumped it, and I took off running. He shot me. The BB went into my elbow, lodged itself in there, to where then my mother had to take me to the emergency room, and I had to get surgery on my elbow to get it dug out because it had been... The BB had shifted down into my elbow bone, and I had to tell them that he was shooting the trash cans, and it ricocheted and hit me in the elbow because I was standing too close.
Imagine.
Not that there could be any reasonable answer, but why did he? Why?
See, that's where I was thinking maybe he gets excited about it. He's excited about terror, and maybe in little kids. Remember how he chased down the brother, put his head in the toilet, smashed his head in there, and then he bit his wife on the stomach. Like, wow, he was so aroused, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it
Very
feels
excited.
like. Yeah.
He wants her to run. It's like, are you hunting people? What in the world are you doing? And this is before she's 13, since she left at 13. So she's a little, and she said she was a small kid too. So you're standing in the backyard, and the man who's supposed to be raising you just says, "Run, I'm going to shoot you."
Yeah, and then actually does fire the and those are, you can die from a BB or pellet. They're not like little,
Nerf guns.
Thinks they're goofy. They're not at all. They can penetrate your body, and so so then you compare that to maybe what the Delphi case. It's actually made me think about what was going on after they got down to that lower level. And we think that, some people think that maybe they ran because there's a shoe on one side. Wouldn't that be crazy if that was part of that? Like he was like, hey, run, and then he chases him down, and then so it's kind of weird. I mean, if that this is all just speculation, but it's just
sure, yeah. But I mean, the shoe was found somewhere else, so could that be a possibility? Sure, if one was trying to get away, maybe, or he made them run. He sounds like these things made him happy. They aren't just things that occurred naturally. He pushed these things to happen. He wanted he wanted her to run.
Yeah.
What a strange human being this is.
Yeah, now you can see why the police are interested in him, knowing that he had access to the Anthony Shots account. The language is a little bit different. And all these past things that police know about, all these things that we're talking about here,
Right. And I mean, it seemed like Kegan did not want to tell on his dad or want to really implicate him too much at first.
Yeah.
But what if it was because he was scared? What if he's seen Tony in the years after Bart and Gwen are out of the picture do horrific things? He may have been threatened. Don't say a word.
Yeah, maybe
he's afraid of him.
Yeah, could be. You never know. I mean, he's also a pile of crap himself, but at the same time, he might be he might be scared of Tony, because I mean, he even says how
he
violent
sounds scary.
Yeah.
He's a psycho. He's probably got to have multiple personality disorder to where he can switch from I'm Tony, NASCAR cool guy, into cars, but mess with me or catch me on a bad day. He's very unpredictable. Who knows what he would do to you if you caught him on a bad day?
That is just terrifying.
He would kill animals in front of me. He was digging a hole for a cat once, and the cat came back to life, and he, right in front of me, just started bashing it on the head to make sure it was dead.
Sociopath.
And that you're violent towards people and animals, so animals weren't even safe around him.
Would he kill family pets?
He did shoot a dog of ours. I'm not sure what the reason was for it, but I have had multiple people tell me. I don't have that memory, but I have people who said, yeah, you don't remember him shooting that dog, just going out there and shooting it?
Jesus, that is just...
He would come home from work every day, come into the house, sit in his recliner, and make me take off his shoes and boots and socks. And in the mornings, he would make me put socks on him, his shoes on him, and tie his shoes. He always used to make me rub his back, put on WWE, and lay on the floor, and I'd have to just sit there and just rub his back the whole show, and that was disgusting. Not in a sexual manner, but it's just...
Well, that's interesting about WWE, because that's one of the hey, I was with on the 13th. Me and my dad were watching pay-per-view wrestling. I guess that's a thing that they do.
But also, too, I understand she's not thinking it's sexual, and she's a kid. But for a grown man to have a child who's not his own child, taking his shoes off, putting them on, taking his socks off, rubbing his feet,
yes, gross,
having to sit on his back and rub his back, that is sexual. That is not just a normal thing that a man who wants to be in charge does. You can have your wife do it. If you just want to be in charge, make your wife do it.
Yeah, I think he was sexually. He felt sexual about it. She probably
absolutely.
She didn't. Yeah. In the technical sense,
she may not have picked up on that.
Yeah, she didn't know
that's what he was doing. Right. Yeah. Oof.
I don't know.
It's creepy, and it's like a controlling thing. Like you have to do what he says.
Oh yeah, and you do unless you want to get beat up. My mom told me that I mouthed off one time, and he went and got a bar of soap and made me eat it, and asked me how I liked it, and I looked at him dead in the face and said, "I love it."
See, I like her attitude.
Me too.
Mean, it's she just was. She called his bluff along. She already knew who this guy was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably why he was so aggressive with her too.
Yeah, because he couldn't break her. He couldn't break her, right?
Yeah.
Remember, like when she sat at the head of the table, she probably knew that was something he wouldn't like. And then when he said, "Get out of the seat, make me," right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking maybe she thought he wasn't gonna like flip out in front of people, but surprise.
Right. Yeah.
or maybe she wanted him to show that side of himself in front of people. So it's a cry for help. Look at what he just did. Is anybody going to help? No. Just telling him don't act like that. That's crazy.
Hey, Karen, why do you need to know anything about that? We're not trying to look up who this person is, all right?
No.
And he made me sit there and eat that whole entire bar of soap. I remember a night he came home when we lived in the Peru house, and he was mad about something and kicked us all out of the house, made us go sleep in the car in the driveway, and then came out a few hours later, told us to get out, and he started his truck and burned out to where then all the gravel just flung at us, and he just sped off. And my mom just said, go in the house and just go to bed.
It seems like he went out of his way to just inflict pain on you.
It sometimes felt like that's what it was. We were easy targets for him to release his anger on, and he viewed us weak because we couldn't stand up to him. And he knew the law wasn't going to step in because they never did in the past. And even if he did go to jail, he would be in there 24 hours and then get out the next day and then come home and beat the hell out of my mom for it. I remember one time he dragged her from doing laundry or something and into the bedroom, and she's screaming, and I hear him beating on her, and me and my brother are banging on the doors, and he flung open that door and said, if you knock on this door one more fucking time, I'm going to blow her head off. And he cocked a gun. Wow. My mom's just lying there terrified.
Isn't that crazy?
And we just went into our bedrooms because what do you do in that position at that young age?
You can't do anything.
No.
You're a kid. Did he ever express or indicate any sort of, I'm just going to say, perverted sexual stuff?
Well, that's one thing Tony has never laid a hand on me with. He's never ever been sexual towards me, because I don't think he would still be living if he did. And that's one thing, though. It's never been sexual. It's always been physical and mental and emotional.
Understood.
That was sexual to him.
If not towards you, then I'm curious. Towards other young girls, would he ever make comments about that or any weird sex stuff just in general?
Not in my remembrance. Because, like I said, when I was 13, I left, and I don't know how my mom and him got divorced. I don't know any of that. I wasn't there. So from what I remember, he was creepy because I just knew him. I knew how evil he was. So I always just had a wall up towards him. Did I ever think that it was as dark as what it's become? No. Do I believe he's capable of anything? Absolutely.
I wanted to pivot from Tony to talk about Kegan. And you mentioned having that picture of yourself with him as a baby. I guess, what can you tell us about Kegan?
He was normal in the beginning, I guess, as you are as a baby, and normal up to elementary age. And then he just flipped. He just became really difficult. He didn't want to attend school. He wasn't able to pass grades due to not wanting to attend school. So then he got held back a couple of times. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he dropped out of 8th grade, 9th grade.
Do you have any sense of what happened?
I don't. Him and I didn't have a relationship at first, after I moved with my dad. Well, Kegan and I thought we were really close at one point. When I left my dad's, when I was just by myself, we would hang out and stuff. He was always so normal, but he would always say crazy stuff like being a backup singer for this person, being a backup singer for that person. He's always just had very outlandish stories to tell. So we've always just been like, don't believe anything that comes out of Kegan's mouth, pretty much.
But otherwise, pretty normal? Like maybe he's exaggerating or he's lying about how cool his life is, but seems like a normal dude otherwise?
Yeah.
You mentioned Tony never laid a hand on him that you saw. Did you get a sense of what his relationship with Tony was like?
He was the golden child. If Kegan's ever experienced anything abusive or malicious from Tony, it's been in his adult life. It was never as a child.
In one of the documents that we have, Kegan told a reporter that Tony hadn't contacted him for months and had cut him off after a raid at his house. Knowing their relationship, knowing what they're both like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't believe him.
You think he's lying? Do you think they're still in touch?
Oh, absolutely. I know Kegan and Tony are still communicating because no one else puts money on his books. But Kegan always has money on his books. So who else would be doing that? Because I know my mom hasn't sent him a dime.
How do you know he still has money on his books?
To communicate outside of the jail.
Okay. What do you think he's trying to gain by lying about that?
I don't know if he's trying to gain anything from lying about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's a lie. That part, that the dad's
Probably
not communicating with him. I mean, she's saying it's a
is.
lie, but I don't know. I mean, you can get money, if like HLN, when they had Barbara McDonald, they might have said, hey, we'll give you $50 into your, $100 into your commissary or whatever. That kind of thing.
True.
I don't think that, I mean, police are going to know if they've communicated, right? Because they're going to have the records and everything. So I don't know. He's mentioned that. He mentioned that in the Barbara McDonald interview, that he said he hasn't spoken to him since, let's see, what was it?
The raid, right?
Yeah, and I think that was, what was it? So April. It's hard to remember exactly the timing of everything, but it was actually a 7-month period. He said 5, but if he said in April he started talking to him, and it was back in August when his father's house was raided. So I think, and that was April the year that he was arrested. That was I think that was, hell, I don't even remember now. But I know that it was.
It's been a while.
It was 7 or 8 months though that he said that his dad wasn't communicating with him. He said, but I could see that being a possibility. Because his dad probably, now he knew as soon as his house got raided that Kegan had probably said something at that point.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me why they stopped talking, but Kegan was like, I don't know, he just stopped talking to me. What? You don't understand why? The house was raided. I mean, it'd be
interesting if he is correct, but I don't know. I mean, that's just her opinion that they're still communicating because he had money. That's her answer, is because there's money on the books, but he could have got money lots of ways.
They're allowed to, right? They're allowed to talk if they wanted to, aren't they? Yeah, so it
seems like he would still communicate. I don't know, because there was another time where Kegan said that I don't know why, my dad doesn't believe me. He hasn't communicated with me, or something. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to oversell that. Maybe they have, but I mean, why lie if it's something that's provable?
Oh, because they're liars?
Yeah, they just lie, all the liars from Liarsville. Yeah, I mean, he lies all the time. He's fishing, though, when he's lying. Like, he's always looking for...
Sure, like, do they know that I'm lying?
Yeah.
Do they know that we're talking? Do they know about Emily Ann? They know everything, buddy.
So right after that, it had Barbara McDonald said anything about that, he would have said, okay, well, we have proof that you've talked to your dad. Here it is right here. Oh, okay. All right, so maybe I did talk to my dad, but that, he just tries to, he's trying to put all the things together that he can sell. I mean, it's really strange.
Yeah, like his whole Vegas story was just bizarre.
Yeah.
It just made no sense to me. Weird. He's a weird guy.
Yep.
I assume he's just scared of being a snitch and about going to prison for something. And then being his dad that he has to probably snitch on, he's probably terrified of that.
So you mentioned that one time that you were close with Kegan. Did you have a falling out prior to his arrest?
No, I actually had a belief that he was in Vegas living for 4 years, and where I was at wasn't that far from there. So Kegan and I actually had a plan to meet up. I was going to drive over to Vegas and just stay with him for one day, and then drive home. And that day came, and he ghosted me. And it makes sense why, because he wasn't even there to meet me.
Approximately what year did he ghost you?
2018? 2017?
What do you make of this whole ruse that he put together that he was living in Vegas?
Fantasyland, I would assume. I don't know what's in Vegas that he always just went to Vegas. Or I don't know what he did in Vegas if he ever really went.
I think it was like
I just think that if you live a basement life, you've got to create a really good fake one. And then you can get yourself mixed up between your real life and your fake life.
One thing that Kegan has said about his dad in some of the interviews that we read was that he's bad at technology, or that he shares phones with Kegan.
Yeah, I heard that. I wouldn't honestly put it past Tony not to know how to run social media. I can see Tony saying, I want to get in that, but you got to show me how to do it. But then I think that once he realized how to just simply do stuff, he's capable of logging on to things by himself and doing things. He's capable of logging on to things, apps, by himself and doing things. So I think he's conscious enough to know how to do certain things. But the Chrysler documents and all of that, yeah, I could see Tony not knowing how to do any of that. Kegan might be doing it for him.
Right. As far as you know, did they ever share phones or anything like that? That's just such an odd detail. What father and son share phones?
Right. I don't know.
How did you find out that Kegan had been arrested for the abuse materials?
Girlfriend A. She called us and said they just came in and got Kegan. And then the next day, we logged onto the Miami County or the My Case thing, and it was all there. And then everything. Just from that day on, it's been slowly more information.
How has this been for you and your family?
I can only speak for myself. I can't speak on my mom's behalf or on my brother's behalf. I'm just enraged. I'm pissed off. I'm mad that Kegan blew me off. The last time we were supposed to have my mom's birthday party out here, he pulled some bullshit that he couldn't come because of his work, and I just let him all have it then. Told him that it's bullshit. That he agrees to plans but then never shows up. And what the fuck is he doing that you can't leave and come over here for?
You know, these people must have, all their other family members must not have known anything about what he was doing. Because why would you give a damn if Kegan showed up to anything?
Right.
I mean,
I don't think anybody knew anything.
Yeah.
No.
So I bet now it's like, oh, God, I'm glad he didn't go to the...
Please don't let him show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably glad he wasn't around, you know, any of their children or, you know, who.
Yeah.
I would be glad, but I'm sure they had no idea that he was doing these crazy things. I mean, the guy he lived with for a little while in Vegas had no idea. He had kids there.
A couple of hours for Mom's birthday. And then bam, he's arrested. And arrested for all this. And then details and details. I just want to shake him and be like, what are you doing? Why? But I didn't do anything wrong. Kegan and Tony, they're their own people. It's unfortunate that he was my stepdad when I was little, but I have nothing to feel ashamed for. I'm here to help, to convict them if they need convicting, because there needs to be consequences to actions. And neither of them have ever had that growing up. This is Kegan's first giant consequence he has ever dealt with in his life.
It sounds like Tony would just let him get away with anything back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have police reached out to you?
Let's skip that one.
Okay, no worries.
I just don't want to get in trouble. I don't want...
No, you're fine.
I don't have anything to get in trouble for, but...
You don't. Gwen, you're fine. You're totally fine, and we respect you, and we respect the boundaries that you set. And you can just say pass, and we'll just move right on, so you don't have to...
Yeah, they did. They came out here and contacted me, but it was right in the beginning. And they told me some stuff. And they just asked me
right in the beginning.
And to keep my mouth shut and not say anything to anyone and just let it be invisible. But now that it's plastered all everywhere...
So I'd love to know right in the beginning what that meant.
Yeah,
what does that mean? Beginning, is that like way back in 2017? Or was that like February 2017 or something in the beginning of like when... I mean, it almost seems like it has to be that. I'm going to have to get that clarified.
Yeah, because I mean, they went and talked to him shortly after all of this. So
yeah, well, he lived in the house. Yeah, I mean,
right.
February 25th, he had Tony and Kegan in the house when they went to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And wow,
everywhere. I can't even get on the internet without seeing it. Yeah, they did reach out to me about Kegan, and I told them exactly what I knew.
When did you become aware that there was a possible connection to the Delphi case?
I'll skip that one.
Okay, no worries. Outside of your discussions with the police, just from your own personal opinion, do you think that the bridge guy or the voice recording sounds like either Kegan or Tony?
No, I do not.
Interesting.
Tony's voice, he has a very womanly voice. It's a very high-pitched tone. He has that man's voice, but it's very high-pitched, if that makes sense. He doesn't have a deep, dark man's voice. He has a high-pitched woman's.
Yeah, but see, I've heard him speaking, and I think when, like, look, hey, what's going on, everybody? What happened? Or I could go, hey, what's going on, everybody? See, when you talk mellow, it's a lot deeper. So I don't really know for sure, And
there was so few words. You really, and it was kind of further away. So, and the quality isn't great. So you just don't know.
I don't know. I've heard him recorded on somebody had a recording of him, and I didn't think it was way far off. I didn't hear a really high-pitched sound. But, I mean, they know him more, but, I don't know.
Was he talking and behaving normally in the recording you heard? I wonder if when he's violent and excitable, his voice goes up and is more a higher pitch.
That's what I was thinking.
And maybe.
And you might remember that voice because it was always a traumatic, he's angry, so it's louder.
Yeah.
And higher pitched.
Voice with a man's tone underneath it. I don't know how to explain it.
Tony sounds like he displayed all this really horrific behavior towards you and your family. Did he ever focus that energy on people outside the family, like stalking other people or anything like that?
If he did, I would not have known about it. He was normal to neighbors. The neighbors liked him. He never really was mean to neighbors. To them, he was not mean, but to us, he didn't care that they were around. I've heard that he abused his ex-wife in public around people. That's absolutely, I would believe that.
Right. And I wanted to get your thoughts now on the Emily Ann account that Kegan at least has been connected with. And it seems like police are wondering if more people were connected to it than just Kegan. What are your thoughts on that whole development? And as it's come out, did he seem very into social media or stuff like that?
Yeah, he always seemed into knowing computers. Where he got Emily Ann's username, I don't know. I don't know where he got that or why. Well, he admitted why he got it. It was so little girls would feel safer to open up if they knew they were talking to another girl.
Yeah. How was Kegan with girls? We talked about girlfriend A. He obviously had a girlfriend at some point, but how did he seem around girls?
Awkward. It seemed like his age of interest never changed, even as he got older. It would always be those fresh out of high school girls, or she's about to graduate, or she just graduated, and I'm like, bro, why? Why?
Is there anything we didn't ask you about regarding this whole thing? What should we all remember, I guess, when we're talking about this situation?
I guess just the focus needs to stay on Tony and Kegan, and I guess just for anyone younger, just be aware of who you're really talking to. Make sure you know who you're talking to. Internet safety, because normal people are sometimes not what you think.
Right.
People expect my mom to come out and have a statement, and she's not going to do that, which I can understand why, because she feels so much shame that she birthed Kegan, and this is what's resulted in his adult life.
Yeah, but she also birthed you and Bart, and you guys seem great.
Yeah, it goes up and down. When I first found out about why Kegan was arrested, I was disassociated from my body. I couldn't think a single thought to save myself because I just cannot understand why he would choose a path like he did when we weren't. Yeah, we were raised by his psycho dad who abused and beat the living shit out of us, but we weren't raised in a neglectful manner, which I guess we were neglected, but we always had food, I guess, and clothes on our back, even though the things were happening at home like they were. But as an adult, I'm not going to let any of this affect me in my life because I have my own family now. And maybe what I went through was for a reason, to help people. Maybe just through this. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Do you want to say something? Or? Oh, okay.
I will say one thing, though, that I have in my notes two things, actually. When we lived in the Brown house, Tony had a dirt bike. And at that time, loud noises scared me. And so when he would rev the dirt bike up, he would think it's so funny. He told me to run, and that he was going to run me over and start chasing me. And started chasing me. And the first thing I could think of was to get off the ground. So I started climbing this tree, and I got up too high and got onto a bad branch, and the branch broke, and I fell from that tree onto a pile of bricks and broke my leg.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And then at the gas station in Walton.
I mean, see, that's crazy, right? I mean, another instance where he just wanted to, for fun, see the terror, and that excited him. Now, that has nothing to do with, like, oh, he's bipolar. That's something else deep in there. That's some sick shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Think just... So another instance where he's making, her run because she's already afraid, terrified of loud noises. So he revs the bike, knowing that's terrifying her, then make her run, saying he's going to run her over. She breaks her arm. I wonder what his reaction to that was. Was he happy? Did he laugh? Did he act like it was an accident? Like, what kind of man is this? This is supposed to be a stepdad. Yeah. What kind of person is this?
Apparently he didn't do those kinds of violent levels to Kegan, though.
No.
And I think, because that's his blood. I think it's his only child he's ever had. And so the other daughter, the daughter wasn't related to him at all. So.
Right. Just a stepchild. But I mean, he's been raising her since she's 2 years old. So he's in her life every day. I mean, it's just baffling to me that he would do that to a little girl. It's sick.
Huh? What are you talking about? Tax cut. Jeez.
I'm coming out and Tony's walking in. He'd seen me and he's like, oh, hey, what's been going on? I'm like, nothing, just whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm sorry for the way things were. Do you need me to put some gas in your car or buy a pack of cigarettes? And I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, okay, well, see you around.
Jeez.
And that was the last time I ever spoke with him.
Let me make up for it and buy some
And that
gas.
just goes to show how sick he is, because he knew.
Idiot.
He acknowledged how we grew up and what he did, and he had apologized. So he thinks that just because he would apologize, it's all clean slate. But just cool, calm, casual. Hey, what's going on? You need me to fill up your gas or buy you a pack of cigarettes? Not that I'm fearful for my life now. Not that I'm fearful for my life now that I'm coming out with saying all of this, because I just don't think he knows where I live. My mom's just scared that it's going to enrage him. But I'm an adult. If he shows up, then whatever happens. But I don't expect him to. But that's in the back of my head, because I know what he's capable of. And if he's capable of what is being said, which is with these girls, then who knows?
Do you have tips on the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams? Email Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com or call the tip line at 765-822-3535.
Oh, there you go. That was the Murder Sheet, episode 2 on Who is Tony Klein. Really good podcast. It's an attorney and a reporter, I think. So
did you hear at the end there, Gray, where she said that her mother's terrified that this is going to enrage him when this comes out, her speaking?
Yeah.
So the mother's still very scarred from whatever happened. And
well, I mean, she probably remembers every bit of it. Like, 'cause, she was an adult when all this was happening. Absolutely. So she remembers every single terrifying moment. But when you're a kid, thankfully, a lot of times your memory, some stuff fades away and you don't remember how bad it might have. Yeah.
Thank God for these kids. Thank God. Yeah, I'm sure the mom must remember it if she's afraid that.
I mean, it seems like Tony Klein is someone who is excited by putting fear into children, and he gets some kind of a rush out of it. Almost, it feels like he gets a sexual rush out of it. There was a search in the 194-page document about the bodies at Sandy Hook. He wanted to see the bodies at Sandy Hook. I mean, could it have been him that typed it in? Based on all this other stuff, maybe. And maybe that's what his whole gig was, is he wanted to... I mean, now it makes you think, was there a possibility that there was a filming of what went down? Because that's the stuff that he's really into. The fear, And
connecting that over to the Vegas thing with the person on the Craigslist. And
yeah, exactly.
It's just...
Like, I've got something I could sell you guys. It's, it's just really crazy, I mean, all this stuff that we're talking about here, I just would have thought, oh, you're a nut case earlier, because they also said that there was no involvement with social media. So to hear if somebody had come up with this whole story, I would have went, oh God, come on.
Right. Isn't that true? When you really think that the connection to her speaking to the Anthony Shots account ends up leading to the biggest child porn bust in the state there. Yeah. And, without, God forbid, but without Abby and Libby, would they ever have found this ring of disgusting human beings?
Now, it might have led to still searching the social media somehow, but I don't think this case wouldn't be anywhere near as big if Libby hadn't filmed and recorded just that little bit that she did. Because that's given, imagine what we'd have without that. I mean, just picture it. Like, here's a couple sketches, and hey, by the way, if you remember seeing, who drove the car that was parked at the abandoned CPS building. You wouldn't even have any images, nothing for people to have talked about.
Smart girl.
So it really made a big difference. I don't know how long we've been on here. Do you have any more minutes here?
Do I have any more minutes?
More time that you can spend on here?
Oh, I have a couple minutes. I'm like, do I have any minutes on what? I am not with it, Gray.
No, I didn't word that very well.
Puppy duty last night, so I'm trying here.
Well, I was just going to say, last night on the show, I went through this whole thing here. It was pretty crazy.
What is that?
Because I sort of was trying to combine all the different things together. I can just read it really quick if you want it, because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I can barely see it.
Yeah, so the Barbara McDonald the Barbara McDonald interview, he claimed he had nothing to do with the murders and cites that he gave DNA and hair follicles, so that makes it seem like he's confident that he wasn't at the crime scene. And I think he probably wasn't there, because he probably willingly gave his DNA and hair follicle and all that. But he thinks that he seems to use that to claim that he had nothing to do with the murders, because the question was, do you have anything to do with the murders? No, I gave my hair follicles and DNA, but that's not really, you could still have something to do with it, and your hair follicles and DNA wouldn't be at the scene, right?
Right.
Then Kegan claims he was at his home on February 13th, 2017, and then, they gave his GPS locations and everything. Right, but that means his phone is there. Doesn't mean he's anywhere. We don't know anything about that, Right. And then he admits that he created the Anthony Shots account. He admits that police say that Anthony Shots' account communicated with Libby. He says that he never tried to meet these girls in real life and just wanted the images and videos. And then Barbara asked Kegan if he remembers communicating with Kelsey German the night of the murder, but I'm wondering to myself, how did Barbara know to ask that question? It's interesting that reporter knew something that was private, and it would have just been on that 194-page document. So that was it was something that just popped in my head. How did she know to ask that question?
Now, when was her interview with him?
That was just in December. So it's it was in December, right after the Anthony Shots information came out.
Well, yeah, okay. So, no, she would have known, right? Because Kelsey, hasn't she talked about it? Or
No, that came out with the 194-page document that was released accidentally.
That came out with it.
And that came out like 2 months later. Remember how the murder sheet got the Barbara McDonald transcript and the 194-page document. And so that's interesting that she would have known to ask that, because it was that wasn't out yet. Maybe she got, as a reporter, was able to look at it, or maybe they even asked her to ask certain questions. I don't know. In response to anyone else having access to Anthony Shots' account, he says, well, I live with my dad, but I don't know. So now he's already injecting his dad into it. Do you think your dad could have been accessing that profile? Yes, I do. Then says, know that his dad couldn't be involved. So he thinks his dad could have accessed the profile, but he wouldn't be involved. Okay. And then in 2020, in the 194-page document, he never insinuated his dad had access. He now says his dad could have been communicating with the girls using the Anthony Schatz profile because he lived there. He says they all had access to the devices and accounts. He claims when the search warrant was given at his home, he did not know it was about Abby and Libby. He claims he had no clue why they were there. Yet, in Vegas, he searched the case and factory reset the Samsung phone that was communicating with Libby. So he's claiming, I didn't know why they were there. But while he's in Vegas, he's searching about what, the updates on the case, and then he factory resets it, right? Then right over here it says, asked about, and then this is in the search warrant document, asked about the recent news of the Anthony Schatz account. They told me they were going to put out something, and I said that's fine. Oh, this is something else. And with me, I don't care. So I think he was supposed to come forward with something in December. He didn't do it. And right here it says, and so right now he's talking about the officer that was asking him a question. And so he was by himself, and he came and saw you on Monday. Yeah. And then they said, we're going to release something tonight. And he said, yeah. Were they trying to get something from you that day? See, I think they were. He was supposed to say something. And he says, yeah, I was supposed to do a polygraph. I think this is bullshit here. A polygraph test that day. And you said you agreed, but yeah, and they didn't follow through on the polygraph test, he says. But I don't think that's why they were there. They were supposed to get him to admit to something, maybe about Tony. Then they said, let's go a different route. Let's put out the Anthony Schatz information. That led to the Tony Klein document. Kegan Kline document, this arrest warrant, and then all the information came out, and they were trying to put pressure on him. All right. Then it says Kegan claims he has only been polygraphed one time, and that was on February 25th, 2017. He claims he had only been to Delphi for a football game in high school. Kegan claims that he was shown all his GPS locations on that day of February 13th. Kegan knows his father is suspected of involvement and knows his father's house was raided. Kegan doesn't communicate with his father since about a week before the raid on Tony's house. Kegan claims to have been with his dad during the murders, so he can't be involved and knows it wasn't him. But then he goes on to explain, then he also says that he was beaten up when he was a kid and everything like that. Kegan says that when he finally was arrested on August 19, 2020, his father didn't communicate with him for 5 months. But see, that's in August. Then in April, he started talking to him again, and that's actually 7 or 8 months. And then Tony must have felt comfortable now or wanted to see what they knew. Kegan is confused as to why his dad won't communicate with him after the raid. That's what he said, anyway. So
right.
Kegan
he didn't know why he stopped talking to him.
Yeah, and then Kegan mentions that his dad was really badly abusive when they were kids. So he does remember that. Kegan claims Tony doesn't work on Mondays, which is amazing because that's the day that they were murdered. But he claims they watched. See, this is what I'm getting from this. He claims they watched wrestling pay-per-view that night. He was also with him at his grandparents' house at around 5 and 6. So that's in the evening. Then the rest of the night he usually sleeps. Well, that doesn't mean he was doing it that day. You're saying he usually sleeps. And then he says he normally sleeps until 1 or 2, then wakes up. But see, that's not saying that he slept that day. He's just saying he normally does. And then unfortunately, Barbara McDonald sort of gives him an out and says, I said, it wasn't until Barbara suggested to Kegan they were together from 1 to 6 that he said, yeah, that's right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I would have liked to know, well, where was he? What was going on? Did you see him asleep?
On that day.
Because it's such a big deal. And then Kegan admits that someone else might have been using the Anthony Schatz profile and admits that his dad is the only other person that had access to it. I mean, that's incredible, right? All right, so claims he really didn't follow the Abby and Libby case, wants people to know he is innocent, and that's not him. Kegan claims when he got home from the polygraph on February 25th, 2017, he had found the phone on the counter, and he called police immediately, and they came the next day. However, on the probable cause affidavit, it states, while looking over the digital forensic examination report, I noticed the user of the Apple iPhone 5C deleted multiple items off the phone before turning it into law enforcement. On February 25th, 2017, the search warrant was served on the Klein residence, and then it says, on February 27th, 2017, Kegan contacted ISP, so that's 2 days later. It's not the 25th. He claims when he got home, he called police when he saw the phone on the counter.
Right, immediately.
But he actually called them 2 days later, and
he never has any good reasoning for any of this. He kind of just
it's crazy.
states what he thinks happened, and then
he wants to see what they got,
Yeah,
but it's weird that
kind of just sits there.
It's weird that he would say this in the Barbara McDonald interview, though. Oh yeah, it was just on the counter because it's already. This just absolutely disproves him on the search warrant affidavit. It says on February 25th at 7:30 p.m. So that's the day of the search warrant. Kegan's polygraph was concluded and he was transported back to his residence. The digital forensic examination report shows at approximately 9:19 p.m. the user of the iPhone 5C started to uninstall and delete apps from the iPhone. At 9:19 p.m. the user uninstalled and deleted Snapchat. Approximately 10:14 the user uninstalled and deleted Instagram. And then on the 26th, the following day, at 1:12, the user uninstalled and deleted Meet Me from the phone. The user put Snapchat back on the device on February 27th. At approximately 1:28, the user again uninstalled and deleted it from the phone, and then he gave it to police. Man, he just wiped that phone clean, right? So that's all. I'm almost. Let's see. Kegan told investigators he finds girls on Instagram and then tells them to talk to him on Snapchat, because that's way more secure environment for him. During the interview, Kegan stated he was effed and he shouldn't have left. Kegan advised, I think this is what he's saying. Kegan advised he should have packed another bag and took it to Vegas. He stated he was going to leave when his dad was asleep. So it's weird. I mean, why did he think, oh man, I'm screwed, like he shouldn't have been there, because they were going to.
Why when his dad was asleep?
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Is that something he let slip because he was going to try and sneak out and let his dad, take the brunt of the blame for
everything? Or maybe his dad should be the only one. He shouldn't have been around, Maybe something like that. But anyways, then the Samsung Galaxy. So this phone was named Klein Photography and was factory reset on approximately February 23rd, 2017. So that's while they were in Vegas. Kegan would have been 22 years old at the time. This device was not secured with a password or PIN code. There were numerous usernames and email addresses located on the phone, including there were some chat messages recovered from the device from Meet Me, Facebook Messenger, and Snapchat, conversations that took place between February 23rd and the 25th. Discuss meeting people in Las Vegas, prostitution. So that's crazy, because that means after he factory reset it, then he started up again talking about.
And I think on the last one we were talking about, do we think that they would just stop? And here's my thoughts still on it, and this is how I felt on the last one. These guys are not just cured, or they don't just stop because they got into some trouble. That's even if you go to prison for doing these things, you come back out and the rate of them doing it, it's so high. So he uninstalls these things, then he couldn't even last. Then he reinstalls stuff again.
But they hadn't been caught yet, though.
They haven't been caught yet. But I still think that they would have continued to do these things.
Yeah, well, I think that, what I think is, I was saying last night, is they shouldn't have done that raid. They should have got way more information and just kept tracking what they were doing. Because it is possible that after the 25th, Kegan just went, screw this, and did something else. Right? Because he knew that they were onto his electronics, and he's probably really paranoid. So it's possible that they gave up on it. But had they just kind of kept tracking behind the scenes, they would have been much more easily able to figure out what they were doing
until they went to meet somebody and had
just been absolutely surveilling them. Following the Dropbox, get warrants for all that stuff, start getting even more and more data. But it could be what you're saying, that he continued on, but it's also like, wow, really? I mean, he's already known to be like a pedophile guy with a bunch of crap on his phones, and so I don't know if Kegan would have, but maybe Tony.
I mean, Tony hasn't been arrested for anything, so he easily could be doing
stuff,
or trying to figure out how to.
Yeah.
Because when you're using the Dropbox app and the Snapchat and all of this, you find ways to be able to hide all of this stuff from police. You try to figure out the best ways, and there's a lot of disgusting people out there who know.
Yeah.
And they know how to evade it.
Yeah, here's this other part here. It's on the 194-page document. It says, Bud, from your Dropbox account, off your phone, talking about the, I'm not sure which phone at this point, we have started one of the largest child pornography investigations ever undertaken in the state of Indiana. People that communicated with you or your shared images through your Dropbox link. We start looking at those people, and it just freaking spirals out of control to this major child pornography ring. And you even have it to the point where you're getting this child porn, you're sharing it with your Emily Ann account to your Kegan Kline Dropbox account. I mean, that's crazy right there, right?
That is wild.
Samsung Galaxy S5, which was one that you found in Vegas in a rental car. I don't know if I believe that. That's crazy. And just in that little time, you had the phone. 2 days, I think you had the phone. Yeah. Anyways. It's really interesting stuff.
These guys, I wonder, I'm hoping that somehow they are surveilling, I'm sure they are, Tony. So that whatever hideous things he's doing wherever he is, they're gonna catch him.
Yeah.
They're gonna catch him in the act of doing something, hopefully.
Yep.
Do we know if he's been brought in for any type of intense questioning, or do we know anything about that at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Tony's obviously been questioned because they raided his house. I just don't know anything about it.
They just necessarily wouldn't be telling us about it, so.
Right. I'd love to see that interview. That'd be amazing.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I would love to see that interview. I would pay to see that one.
Huh. I don't know. Is that the real person right there? That person typed in there? The bullhorn person? I don't know.
Hold on, please. Please hold. Bullhorn Betty? No, that's not Bullhorn Betty. Okay. That's actually Bullhorn Betty. No, it isn't.
I think it's a troll.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a troll.
Yeah, I just blocked that one.
Wait, what? Jesus. Oh, goodness gracious. No, it absolutely is not Bullhorn Betty. So.
All right. Well, anyways, there was more to it, but you guys can check it out. I got to go get something to eat. I was getting kind of like...
Yeah. Yep, I got to go wash this puppy.
All right, well, we got CrimeCon coming up, everybody, so...
Yes.
We'll try to do... maybe we'll try to do a live stream on this channel, too.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're there. I mean, with this name, but we have,
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, too, I should ship you our banner, to your house. So how am I going to get that on the plane?
Doesn't it fold up, or can you put it...
I mean, it's going to wrinkle it. It's in like a tube.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
And since you're driving, you could probably throw it in your back seat.
Well, I could do that. That would suck. Oh, wow. Thanks, Mama She 13. That'll help out.
Mama She.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, you could do that, but then we're getting kind of, you think it'd get here in time? And
yeah, I have a FedEx account. I could overnight it.
Okay. If you want to do it, I hope it doesn't get lost. Is there a way to create it again if it got lost?
Of course.
Okay. I'm
not going to get lost.
All right.
This is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, send it over then.
Message me your address, and I will have it picked up in the morning, and it'll be there.
Oh, you don't know my address has been put out on the internet a million times.
No, I don't know your address. I don't follow the.
You don't have it memorized?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Mama Sheet, sweetie. Thank you, honey.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys. Thank you, Mama Sheet 13. Diane Tosh Ferrazano, and Candalee Woodward Stone, and Kristen Cure. All right. So thank you, and thank you to the Murder Sheet for allowing us to go over that. Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I saw the mods dropping their link. We appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, make sure to go over and follow them. We've got a couple more, 3 more podcasts that have come out since then, or episodes, I guess. And we'll be going over the third and final one on Tony Klein probably pretty soon here. It's just a shorter one. It's an interview with somebody that Tony followed around.
Oh, it was a good one.
Yeah,
that podcast.
And we get some more information. Yeah, there was one other piece, I guess, that was on there. Oh yeah, it was right here. See, inside on that Samsung phone, it had these searches, and one of them was "girl touched while asleep." Well, that's pretty crazy, because in that next episode, he goes into the house, in the window with a stick, and lifts up a girl's pajamas, and that's just eerily similar to a search that was done on that phone.
Absolutely.
So
I am so confident that this guy.
It feels like they're on the right path. I think they have something to do with it for sure.
Somehow, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no way. And like you always say, this is the biggest coincidence.
Yeah.
Coincidences.
Yeah.
This would be.
It would be.
It really would. I mean, come on.
I'm like 99%.
Yeah.
If not higher, because it would be insane if it was all this other stuff was going on involving Libby and Abby and the social media stuff, and that had nothing to do with it. It was just some random psycho that showed up.
I know. Just see 2 girls walking on a bridge, and all of a sudden, and they take that chance. No, these guys have to have something to do with this.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm convinced.
Yeah, I mean, serial killers do just go around and hunt, so they could have been one. So that's what I always thought. It was just some random. But now, when you have all this stuff, man,
it's too much. Too much of a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right. But anyways, hey, thank you all for showing up. Thanks for finding some time here. Good to see you.
Yes.
And sorry about your dog again, and glad to see you got a new one. And
you know me, I avoid grieving as much as I possibly can. So I'm like, well, what can occupy our time? Jace is begging for a puppy.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'll just overwhelm myself with stuff, Gray, to avoid.
Yeah.
It's hard. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time, and might be a few days from now, but we'll let you know. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. Sure. Until next time, be safe out there.
I love you so much.
All right, now I just got to remember.
The puppy does too. So I love you, puppy.
All right, where is it? There we go. Okay.
I look like I'm saying it back.